Hi and welcome. In today's video I'll show you the second of the key anchor points, the smooth point, and how you can make them using the pen tool. So let's dig in. My name's Ken Fisher and this is LiveLink Training. Okay, smooth points allow us to create smooth curves between points, unlike the corner points that do two straight segments between the corner points, the angle points. Now first I'm going to select the pen tool, so I'll go down and select the pen tool by clicking on it in the toolbox there, or you can just press P on the keyboard. I'm going to click anywhere in the document. I've got a little bit of a grid just so that it looks a bit nicer. So we've got the pen tool, and you can see the pen tool's got a little, it's like a little snowflake to me, but it's a little asterisk, I think. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to click and I'm going to drag up and then let go. Now at first glance you might think that we've somehow managed to drag out a path, but we haven't. The center point is square and these top and bottom point, they're little circles. Now these are called the control handles. Ah, control handles, are you say? Now I get it. Hang on. No I don't. What on earth are control handles? Well, control handles, well, they're handles that control the direction of the curve, and they're used only when you're creating curved path segments. Now there's usually only two of them, although sometimes there is one, as we'll find out later, and they extend out from the anchor points. And what we can do is we can drag them around. Now we haven't got a curve yet because we haven't got a second point. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to click here and drag down. So now we've got a curve, and these control handles control where the curve goes into and out of that point. Now you can't drag the handle itself, you've got to drag the point, but you've got to have another tool to be able to do this, and this is the direct selection tool, which is the white arrow. Now I can get that by pressing A on the keyboard, or I can go down and select it from the toolbox. And when you've got the white arrow, you can actually click and drag these handles around, and you can see it'll change the disposition of the curve. And it's like it drags the curve towards the control handle. So you can see this is dragging it towards the control handle and the curve is getting steeper. If I drag it back the other way, you can see that this gap's getting smaller and this is getting less steep, so it's nearly straight there. Now if I just move that back, we can actually make the curve longer. So if I click on this control handle and drag it up, you'll see that it'll make that curve longer. It'll elongate it. And I can play around with these. Whoops. Click on it to reselect it. There we go. I can click on these control handles and really control exactly how the curve looks. So I'll drag this back down here again to make it look a little bit even. Now notice as well that if I click on a control handle at the top, say, and I move it to the right, the bottom one moves to the left, and this one is going to control the nature of the curve coming out of this point. So you've got to be careful sometimes that what you do at the top doesn't really throw away everything you've done at the bottom. So let's just put that back into position there. That's it. Now we've got one curve, so let's get another curve going out of this point. Now to do that, I've got to make sure that I've got the pen tool active again. And here you can see I've got the little star again, the little asterisk, and that means I'm going to create a brand new path, which is not what I want. I want to continue from here. So if I hover over that last point, you'll get that little square with a line through it, and that means to continue. So if I click on that, and then I go over to here, and I'll click and drag up again, you'll see I'll get a nice like sine curve. And these handles are controlling how that curve comes into and out of these points. Now I can also drag the other way. So I could go over here and say click and drag, but this time I'll drag it upwards. You'll see now I've got like a little bit of a C going on. I've got this coming out of this one, but it going into this one. So obviously we've got like a double bend here. And then I'll try another one here. If I click and drag down, I can get a nice upward curve again. And then I'll click and drag down, but no, I'll drag up this time and I'll get like a little C going on, and then we'll do it again. So you can see you can get some pretty interesting shapes, and basically these points, these smooth points, like what I'd call sinusoidal, they're like curves, they're like curvy bits. Now if you look up in the paths panel, you should see that the path is being drawn out for us as we go, as a work path. And if I want to, what I can do is I can say, well, okay, I'll get back and make it a closed path, because this is an open path. It's an open-ended path. It goes from there to there. So if I want this to be a closed path, I can click and drag and say make a point here, and click and drag and make another point here, and then go back to that point, hover over it till I see that little 0, and then when I click, it brings me back to the beginning. And the great thing about paths is that they are very forgiving, because if I go back to my white arrow or my direct selection tool and I click on the path, you can see that I get all my points back. So I can now go in and really tailor this for whatever shape that I'm actually working with. Now if I want to add a point to here, then all I've got to do is go back to my pen tool, and when I hover over anywhere on one of these segments, I get the plus sign. And if I click, it'll add me a smooth point, because there's smooth points at either side of it. And again, if I go press the A key and go back to my direct selection tool, I can move this one around. Now if I want to delete a point, then back to my pen tool, I hover over the point and you'll see I get a little minus, and I can click to get rid of that point. Now I can change points from smooth points to corner points. Okay, how do we do that? Well, for that we need another tool. We need the convert point tool. And if I click on that, and then when I hover over any point, I get that little arrow sign. And then when I click on that, it now converts that to a corner point. So it's coming from a smooth point to a corner point. So now we know how to use the pen tool. Let's have a look at a real world example. Well, here we are with quite a curvy object. It's an artist palette. And what I'm going to try and do is select this using the pen tool. But I'm going to show you a little bit of a shortcut that sometimes can be very helpful. If we drop down in the tools panel, you can see this little set here just under the direct selection tool. If I click and hold on it, these are all shapes. And there's a custom shape tool, there's lots of different shapes in there. But these are vector in nature, so basically they've been drawn by the pen tool. So if I go down and say select the Ellipse tool, which is fairly close to what I want for this, what I'm going to do is just click and drag out an ellipse. Now if I've got it slightly in the wrong place, what I can do is I can put my finger on the space bar and I can move it round. So I'll just put it up in this corner somewhere there to start with, and then I'm going to let go of the space bar, and then I can drag it out a bit more. Whoops, did that the wrong way around. We'll put that up to the top and then let go of the space bar, and I can drag this out to make it a bit bigger. And then when I let go, you'll see the work path appears, and so do the control handles. So now I'm going back to my direct selection tool, my white arrow, and I'm going to click on one. And hey presto, here are the control handles. Okay, so let's just move that over there a little bit, and what you'll find this is that it's not necessarily a very quick process. Yes, I do want it to turn into a path. It's a case of teaming and ladling, of moving, shifting, moving, shifting. So I'll just try and line that up there, and then I'll take this one over here, and I'll take this one down here. And then I can try a little bit with the control handle, see what I can do. So I'll pull this one out a little bit. You can see that's doing a pretty good job there, but it's not doing such a good job up here. But let's just try one at a time. I'll just move that out a little bit by clicking and dragging on it. And then I'll get this control handle and just extend the curve a little bit. That's not looking bad. I'll do the same with this one up here, and I'll just extend that one a little bit. So we've now got not a bad, nice, precise curve going round the edge of this artist palette. Now I'll drag this one. What you've got to be careful of is, like here, I've got it pretty good. But if I start making big movements with this, I'm going to distort it. So I've got to then get to a point where I say, well, that's good enough, and I'm going to leave it there. Okay, we'll try that. I'll try extending this side just to bring that out a little bit. And then I can pull this down a little bit just to get it to fit. And I'll take this control handle in a tiny bit. I think I'm pretty good with that, so I'll move on to this point and I'll just try and move it up a little bit, see if I can get it to fit. I think that looks pretty good. Now this one up at the top, I'll try and extend that a little bit and see if I can get that to fit. It's not doing a good job, so what I'll do is I'll try and move this one a little bit and then take that out. That's looking a bit better. And I'll take this one out a little bit to somewhere like that. That's not bad. I'm getting there, I think, with this, and it's just having a go at each of the individual points. Now here I've got a bit of a problem, so I need really another point in here. So I'm going to go back to my pen tool. I can press the P on the keyboard or click it as I've just done in the toolbox. And if I hover over this section somewhere there, say, I get the plus sign, and if I click, I get a smooth point. And what I'm going to do is try and let's see if we can, oops, didn't want to do that. Edit and undo. I'm going to go back to my direct selection tool, my white arrow, press the A on the keyboard, and then I can move this around a little bit, see if I can pull it in. And we'll see if I can get that to fit. I'll pick it right over here and then drag that back. And then we'll take that one right over there. I've got a little bit of an adjustment to make here. And I'll pull that one again to there. Ooh, and try and bring this one back a little bit. And we'll probably move it down a little bit, make it a bit thicker. Might need more than one point in here, but we'll give it a go. That's looking better. Just take that up a little bit, probably bring that forward. You can see it can be a little bit painstaking. Get that in there. That's not bad on there. We'll bring that down a little bit, pull that down, get that curve looking a bit better. This one, pull it up a little bit. And this one, maybe just take it out a little bit there. Oops. If you deselect it accidentally, just click on it again. And that's not bad. Let's say, I think if you did a little bit, because I'm doing it quite quickly to make sure that the video is not 20 hours long. And I think you can see how accurate you can get this. That's pretty cool. Okay, and I'll just drag that out a little tiny bit. And that one as well. And then I'll just click off the work path and click back on it again, just so you can see. I'll turn off the palette as well. You can see what a nice curvy line we've got now that matches the palette. Well, that's how to select curvy shapes using the pen tool and smooth points. Sorry it went on a bit, but I wanted to show you that getting it right is a process of small adjustments, but the result is worth the effort, with a smooth path outline of quite complex shapes. I do hope you found it useful. If you did, please give me a like on Facebook, search for Live Link Training, or here on YouTube, click the thumbs up or leave me a comment. And please click that subscribe button and help me grow my Photoshop learning community. I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.